My name is Ethan Shmargod. I'm an Oracle Database Security Product Manager, and we're joined with Kajal Singh, who is the Product Manager for Oracle Data Masking and Subsetting. All right, so if you have been here before, you know that these calls are recorded, right? Like I said, they're made available at asktom.oracle.com. They're made available on that website a few days later. And I think on this page, we have over 3 years of monthly calls of various database security topics, including encryption, access control, auditing, monitoring, data masking. We have a lot of content on there for y'all to take advantage of. And then if you've not joined us before, again, welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us. Database Security Office Hours provides us and provides you with a direct channel to kind of Oracle database security product development. This is our way of getting the what's new out to you for y'all to interact with us. So each session will include a relevant product announcements, technical topic, and we will also have time at the end of the session. Feel free to ask questions in the Q&A if you have any, so on and so forth. And in case you're wondering frequency, you can go ahead and mark your calendar for this event. We do it on the second Wednesday of every month. All right, so let's get into some announcements. Okay, so want to remind you, and I posted this in the Zoom chat as well, that we have the GitHub page URL where we share all the links and examples we talk about during this session. Similarly to the Ask Tom page, you can find almost 2 years worth of notes available in that GitHub repo. And on this QR code as well, you can get directly to that repo as well. So again, a lot of information on there as well. We post all the links and all the examples we talk about there. And then, yeah, product updates, right? So every month, right, we remind you to stay on top of your patches, release updates come out in January and will come out again in May, I think. So again, please stay up to date on your patching, whether it's the database, the application, the operating system, right? It's one of the easiest ways for attackers to compromise your environment, take advantage of those known vulnerabilities that should be patched. You can find them all at oracle.com. You can find those patch updates at oracle.com/security alerts. And again, if you're using things like rack reapplication clusters, please look into fleet patching provisioning to improve your grid and database patching process. And if you want an extra help as well, you can take Mike Dietrich's blog as well at mikedietrichde.com for extra help in that area. All right, some data safe announcements. So we are excited to announce that Oracle Exadata Database Service on the xScale infrastructure is now supported as a target database in DataSafe. So this means you can now register these databases seamlessly through the DataSafe UI. The recommended method that we do that is through the Cloud Database Registration Wizard on the overview page of DataSafe, but you can also use the registration option on the target database page as well. It makes the process of adding a new target, especially if we're talking about the exascale infrastructure, it makes it a lot easier, easier than ever to integrate exascale into your workflows and into DataSafe. And we don't know if we've mentioned this before in the past, but we did add a new SQL Firewall lab to the Get Started with DataSafe Fundamentals live lab. So now this hands-on lab can guide you through enabling SQL Firewall on a target database, creating those SQL connections, enforcing those policies. You'll also learn how to test and modify those firewall policies as well within the intuitive DataSafe UI. So that's a new lab that we've introduced to the DataSafe Fundamentals lab. Feel free to go check it out. Bettina and Jody did a great job writing that lab. And now we also have some active data guard support. So we've bridged the gap in terms of our support for active data guard. So now we include Amazon RDS for Oracle, Oracle databases on compute. We allow you to register standby databases alongside your primary, ensuring DataSafe continues to function even after a failover or a switchover. We can also collect that audit data from the active standby databases. And with this update, ADG now is now supported across a wide range of Oracle database deployments, all without service interrupters or manual updates as well. So we've kind of bridged the gap for our support in that area. And we've introduced some new user assessment graphs that provide fleet-wide view of users with expiring passwords. You can now drill down to impacted user accounts and target databases, track those expiring passwords over the next 30, 90 days, etc. This feature is available under the user assessment section landing page in the target database reports in DataSafe, and allows you as the user to take a proactive approach and action before passwords expire with these new views and this new information. And you can now export and import user-defined sensitive types in DataSafe. So that means once you've created custom sensitive types, you can easily reuse them across different tenancies and regions. No need to recreate them manually, right? So we can streamline that sensitive data discovery. We can make it more efficient and scalable across environments now. And now within discovery and masking, you can now define relationships for your composite keys in the sensitive data model. So all database defined relationships are displayed under referential relationships and are then automatically reflected in both the sensitive data model and the masking policies as well. So that ensures that columns with composite keys are grouped together during masking, preventing, accidental mismatches, for example. With this update, you no longer have to manage those composite key masking manually as well. And again, a lot of the really cool things that Kajal's going to be talking about, you can put it to the test yourself. Kajal's worked very hard to update our data masking and subsetting LiveLab, so you can play around with DMS on Enterprise Manager 24 AI. You can do some of that data discovery. You can create that application data model, data masking. You can create that subsetting script to create the subset of that data, and you can do that all now within the new and updated Enterprise Manager 24 AI. So that's very cool. That LiveLab is updated. And again, all these links I will have posted in the Zoom chat for y'all, including the documentation links to the data safe slides that I just showed. And, the DMS LiveLab is not the only LiveLabs database security offers, right? We have over 40 plus security related LiveLabs, right? And a lot of those you can run on Oracle's dime, right? As a green button. So simply provision it. Oracle will spin up that environment for y'all. Give you the access credentials and codes. You guys can go in, run our scripts, run our labs, play around with our technology hands first. So with that being said, I will now pass it off to Kajal Singh, our product manager for data masking and subsetting, to go over the new changes in data masking and subsetting in Enterprise Manager 24 AI.
So welcome everyone. Welcome to this really interesting session on Oracle data masking and subsetting on Enterprise Manager 24 AI. My name is Kajal Singh, Product Manager for Data Masking Solutions, including DMS on Enterprise Manager. So what do we have on agenda today, right? So we will be spending most of our time doing a live demo of compound masking. What is compound masking, and then how can we achieve that using DMS, right? So before going there, we will also be covering the product overview, the basics of DMS, all the features, functionality underneath. And then briefly, we will be covering what do we have new for this technology with the recent release of Enterprise Manager 24 AI. After covering the live demo, we will be wrapping the session with all the product, related relevant resources, the updated resources, with all the changes, that you can see now on this technology. Let's start with DMS overview. So DMS, it's a single unified technology that can be used to discover sensitive data, mask, or subset, for a wide range of database platforms, right? So using DMS, you don't just safeguard your sensitive data, but it also provides a cost-effective way of sharing that sensitive data, for variety of scenarios, whether for application development or testing, business analysis, or even machine learning model development, right? So let's imagine this situation where there is a department and it needs to share the production data across various non-production streams, right? Whether for testing or development or even, for third-party collaboration, right? So your production environment, as we all are aware, it is usually set, controlled, and managed with strong security postures, right? So it will have a very different risk footprint as compared to your less secure environment. So all these test and development environments, if it has sensitive data, including PI, financial, or health-related data, it will basically act as your enterprise attack surface, right? So what do we do in such situations? So you need a strong, masking solution that can, that can replace your sensitive data with either random values or even realistic values. But the traditional masking methods, that are usually available in the market, It's either risky or slow, or it can, often leads to compliance issues, as we keep on hearing, about these data breaches news every now and then. This is a situation where Oracle data masking and subsetting can really work. It will have three main components, including data discovery, data masking, and data subsetting. So each of these components will have, like a strong role to play in order to make your sensitive data non-sensitive. So starting with data discovery, so this particular component, it will help you to identify and pinpoint your sensitive columns, stored in your schema, within a registered target database, right? So once you run your data discovery job, it will report back all those sensitive columns along with the information of where it is stored, and also giving you a data match quality score, right? So when you're running a discovery job, you're providing, it is based on a pattern matching, right? So if a particular column is, discovered, your discovery job is also giving, a relevant score. So based on that, you can either mark that discovered column as sensitive or non-sensitive. So this feature, it will really help you to reduce your false positive or even false negatives, right? Along with that, this component also has a lot of other, functionalities available. For example, you can export your data model, right? So data model is basically where you're running all your discovery jobs. So you can export this XML script out. You can perform your bulk operations. You're getting that flexibility of performing the bulk operations offline and then re-uploading the XML script back to the UI. Then for data masking, so once you have, performed your discovery job, once you have your data model stored with the discovered sensitive columns and, within your target database, then you can go ahead and perform your masking job. So under data masking, you will be getting a predefined masking format library that has, around more than 20 commonly used masking formats. Either you can directly use such formats, or you also get the option to use some of our out-of-box options, right? So including regular expression, SQL expression, you can use encrypt, shuffle, substitute, substrings, and many more. Now, so this is the core operation behind masking, data masking component, but along with this, you're getting, many other functionalities. For example, you can run a pre or post masking script that will give you the output, the results, as in a report format, right? And then again, even for data masking, you will be getting the functionality of exporting your masking script, the XML format script, offline, performing the bulk operations, and then re-uploading it. For our last component, we have data subsetting. For data subsetting, you are basically minimizing your data set, right? You're just extracting the necessary portion of the relevant data that you want. So for this, we are giving you two different deployment options. Either you can delete the sensitive data or non-relevant data, from your database, or you can export out the portion, in a file to your provided location on your host. Data subsetting, it will give you three different subsetting tools, including row-based, condition-based, or partition-based. For row-based, you are defining the percentage, of the rows that you want in your table or, set of tables / objects. For condition, as the name says, we're providing conditions such as if or when, let's say if you want to just extract the columns, the rows based on the year or region, or many more, right? So based on condition and then also based on partition. So partition is nothing but grouping the tables that you want together, and you just want, those tables out of your schema, out of your target database, into a file, that you want. Again, it is coming with several other functionalities that you can explore, through LiveLab, but this is the core operation behind data subsetting. Now, I do want to point out this, particular screenshot for data subsetting, when you're performing data subsetting job. Um, you will be seeing this space estimates tab where even before performing your subsetting job, you can compare, the percentage of rows and the amount of the space that you're saving pre and post subsetting, right? So you can get that picture even before running your job. Then we have, multiple customers who are running the subsetting and the masking jobs together. So you don't have to, first mask and then, subset your data, but you can define your subsetting rules and then, provide your data masking definition in one process and run the job together. So it will be, so basically at the end, you will be getting the portion of the data, which, where the sensitive data they are replaced, with your realistic or with your defined masking format values. Now, Oracle data masking and subsetting. So this technology, it was launched in 2008. So it's been, roughly around 17 years. So it's a long-standing solution. It is hugely trusted, with all our current DNS customers worldwide. So it's a long-standing solution because of several benefits, that it has to offer. First and foremost is, in my opinion, is that all the components and features of DMS, they all come under a single licensed pack. So you don't have to get like add-on packs, to use this technology. Unlike our competitors, where they are offering the let's say just the masking part, and then you will have to buy either data subsetting or subsetting, data discovery or subsetting as part of their premium suite. Um, DMS, it's fully integrated with Enterprise Manager. That means that you will be just installing the EM bundle patch. And with this DMS pack, you really don't have anything else to install or download. All in all, it's a versatile technology. You're getting two flexible deployment options, either in the database or you can, export your data out to a dump file. Then we have predefined masking format library or even the sensitive types, for running your discovery jobs. Now, let's quickly cover what do we have on DMS now with the recent release of Enterprise Manager 24 AI, right? So EM24 AI, it was released last year in December. With that released, the DMS team, they have completely overhauled this product in terms of the look and feel. First major change, modernized interface for improving the user experience. So you can also see it in the screenshot, and you will also be getting the gist of it when we are doing the live demo. But on this screenshot, you can see a single unified platform, right? It's a single unified console where you're getting all your components and the subcomponents together on a navigation panel. Unlike 13.5, if you have, used the older version, you will be noticing a huge change, a massive change, between these two versions. Along with that, we have introduced this all new overview dashboard, right? So this will be the enterprise level dashboard giving you all the key metrics. As you can see, all these tiles. It will be giving all those metrics related to your DMS operations, the discovered columns, the sensitive types, and where it is stored in your target database. Then we have made the overall navigation, for this technology simpler. It's more clean. As you can see, it's more intuitive. And then you will be getting the visual workflows on the UI itself, right? So there are several pages where you can see these the workflow charts giving you so that you don't have to externally refer to a documentation or for external help, but in order to perform that operation you can see the major steps that you have to perform. Then for our second change, we have optimized the UI performance. That means now when you're switching between the pages, you can see a very smooth transition, with faster response times. When you're loading a particular page, it won't be taking that longer as it used to take for 13.5. We have introduced the support for bulk operations for data masking operations, where on the data masking page, you don't have to select each row individually and assign the format, but you can perform it in bulk. Then we have also improved our filtering option, where so many of our customers, they don't have just 4 or 5 sensitive columns showing on the screen, but they have like a massive list of the columns. So they want to filter out, to the columns that they want, right? So we have also improved our filtering option. And there are many other, minor changes, but impactful changes that you can notice on this new release. Now, let's go to the topic of the day, compound masking. So, what is compound masking, right? So, compound masking basically, wherever you have to, maintain the logical data relationship between your mask columns, is where you will be using compound masking, right? For example, if there are, bunch of columns, the related columns that you don't want to just randomize, right? You want to still maintain, still have the realistic values, after your masking job. So compound masking, this characteristic of the masking you can achieve using the MS. You just have to use the right format or the right combination of the formats to achieve it, right? So before going to the platform and seeing that how we can perform compound masking, I would just quickly like go through the two problem statements that we are going to see. First one is when you have, let's say, and it's a very basic, very simple example. Let's say you have 3 different columns: city, state, and country. For city, state, country, I do not want to, assign a random format, right? I don't want random values, but after masking, let's say for each of the user ID, after masking, I would want to see a real city value and then have a realistic value for the other 2 columns, right? So I want to basically shuffle the rows in such a way that it is maintaining that simple relationship between across the columns, right? So a very simple example, of compound masking that you can achieve using shuffle masking format. Then for the second problem statement, we will be seeing that how your 3 columns like first name, last name, and email ID that can be masked in the right way. Okay, so let's say I have first name and last name, and it has my PI data, my sensitive data. So I want to just assign any value to them, as long as it is not taking me back to the original first name or last name. And then for the email ID, I want to have, still like a relationship between the first 2 columns, right? Even after multiple masking runs, if your first name and last name are changing, then my email ID should also change accordingly, right? So here the format is first name dot last name and the domain name, right? So I want to hide the domain name, but also I want to make sure the first name and last name is appearing as you have, on the rows currently. So you can achieve this. So again, this is, I would say, a basic example of compound masking that you can achieve using SQL expression out of box masking format, right? So let's get started with our live demo. So before going there, I would just want to show this live lab, right? So if you want to, as I'm going through the steps, if you want to perform the same, you can do that. If you have your own tenancy, own region, you can either utilize that, or if you don't, you can use this free, hands-on workshop where the first lab will be helping you out to set up your environment. So basically, you'll be getting a remote desktop and then which is preset, with the DMS component, and you have a demo target database and all the demo tables that you can, explore about. So after the session, if you want to try it out, try compound masking, you can go to this LiveLab and set up your environment and perform these steps. Let's log in. So for this session, I have followed the LiveLab steps, so that it's easier and relatable for you to understand when you want to try it out after the session. You will be seeing the welcome page, the landing page for Enterprise Manager 24 AI. And now if you want to go to DMS component, you'll be going to targets, then databases, and then either you can go to your the registered target databases and then go to DMS, or you can go to the security option shown at the top and choose any of the components. So choosing any of these components, it will be taking you to this console, right? So as we have seen, in the screenshot, like we have the three components and we have the overview dashboard, with all your metrics, all the information related to DMS operations. Now coming to compound masking, right? So for compound masking, first, and the prerequisite step will be to run the discovery job, right? So for doing that, you will have to go to application data models page. And I understand it can be a lot of options showing on the page, so you can refer to your visual workflow whenever you want. So as for the workflow, it tells me to create the ADM first, right? So I will be going to the create option, and then I'll just give a name. And then I am choosing my pluggable database here, my demo table, and then providing the name credential. So after providing the details about the target database, I can either choose all the schemas, or I can just go directly to the schema where I think my sensitive data is stored. So for this case, since I will be replacing the data in the database and not exporting it out, so I would want to perform it on my non-production environment, right? So I'm choosing my dev instance. You will also be getting the option, about relationship discovery type, where if you want the relevant columns to be extracted, from the other schemas based on the dictionary based, your database level or application base level referential relationships, right? So based on that as well, you can choose your option and, ask a discovery job to extract, such columns. So here I have created my EDM, which is nothing but, as of now, the empty XML container that has information about your target database and the schema, right? So far, that's what we have done. Now, whenever you're running a job, just make sure that you're paying close attention to your job status. So right now, it's not in the running stage, so I can just go ahead and refresh the page, to see the most recent status. Now, since this is succeeded, I will be performing my discovery job. So I'll go to modify and then I'll go to discover sensitive columns. Here you can notice two different sections. First is about your discovery job. So, if you're running multiple discovery jobs, you'll see all those rows. And then within those jobs, if there are discovered columns, then it will be showing in your next section, right? So I'll go ahead and, and run my first discovery job. So I will be choosing my schema here. So normally, a schema can be mapped to your one application, or multiple schemas can be also mapped to one application or multiple applications, right? So it's just the way you're defining on the UI. Then for the sensitive types, is basically where I'm telling the algorithm that, okay, this is the type of the data that I think is sensitive, right? Like we have seen in our problem statement, I'm interested in city, state, country, or first name, last name, and email, right? So this is what I will tell the algorithm here. So let me just say first name, last name. I will also be choosing email ID. So if there are any sensitive types, if you're not able to see it here, you can add it in the library. You can create your own, sensitive types and define the pattern as you want. We're choosing city, country, and state. Okay. And I will just go ahead and submit this job. And I will press refresh. So this is in running state. Right, so now it is completed and it says that there are 27 discovered columns in, my selected schema. Now, out of 27, either I can just go to data match quality and see, if there is to make the decision whether that particular column from a schema is sensitive or not. But here, let's say, I just want to go to demo employees table. I just want to focus on this particular table. And that's what I want to mark sensitive, right? So first city from demo employees has been marked sensitive. So you can see the sensitive status being changed. And then for all the demo employees, I will just mark sensitive. So this will really help me, to avoid any false positives, right? Like I'm not directly going to the data masking component and running the masking job, across all 27 columns that I don't want to do, right? Then we have email ID. Then I also have first name I want to mark. And then we will also do last name and then we'll do state. Okay. So yeah, you can you don't have to go through the entire list to do it. You can, sort it out here in order to mark it sensitive. So as you can see, we have 6 discovered columns that are marked sensitive. We have city, state, country, first name, last name, and email, right? So I will go ahead and close this page. So far, I have created my empty XML container, and then I, ran this automated discovery job. And then I mark my columns as sensitive or non-sensitive. On the other hand, if I, just directly want to add my sensitive columns, I can do that as well. Under actions, you will be given that option. So till here, we have the ADM with my sensitive columns. Right? So I'll go ahead and perform my masking job. So for that, you will have to create a masking definition. Under that masking definition, it will be, you will be asked to link it to your data model, right? So the ADM that we just created, we just have to define that, in your masking definition. So I will be creating a masking definition here, giving any name, and choosing my ADM, right? So we just created ADM 1202 and choose that my PDB and then next. So as you have seen, we have given the ADM to the masking definition, and then it is reporting back all the sensitive columns, that we defined in the discovery step. So you'll see, all those 6 columns here, right? So for our main task, if you remember, we are doing compound masking where, I want to maintain the simple relationship between these columns, across those columns and, when you're shuffling or even providing the SQL expression. So let's start with city, state, and country, right? So since I want to group them together, so I'll just choose these 3 columns together. I'll choose group masking, and then I have to choose shuffle as my masking format, right? So either, you can choose from the predefined masking library if you, want to assign it like a particular format. But in this case, we will be using our out-of-box option shuffle. So since we have already, grouped the columns together, we have chosen all these 3 columns, so I don't have to give the column names there, and I can just go ahead and say add. Right. So you can see these three columns with your masking rule has been added to your masking definition, right? Now we have first name, last name, and email. Let's assign random format, to first name first. Since this is just one column, I will unselect group masking and I'll go to define format amount. So let's just assign a random, string. You can also go with like any, format you want. So I'll just say random strings. Okay. So, and let's go with just 4 and format entry. So you can also see the sample data, like how you will be seeing it post masking job. So since the start length is 1 and then end length is 4, so that's how you'll be seeing the data. Add. Now same for last name. I will just choose, let's do substring in this case. I'll just 1, and this is 3. And I'll just confirm, if this format will work. So this will be working, right? So I'll just go ahead and say add. So even your first name and last name have been defined with the masking rules appearing under masking definition. Then for our last column, we have email ID. So for our email ID, we will be selecting SQL expression. So for for all the out of box option, you will be seeing a short description here, so you can follow that to know the kind of format you have to give for that particular out of box option. Now you have SQL expression. Since I have already like provided the values before, so it is taking the cache, but you have to define your column within the percentage sign. And then in this case, since we want to combine first name and last name together, so I will be using the or sign. And then we have our second column, last name. And then we also need to mask the domain name, right? I don't want to have like the company's name in the email ID. So I will be just saying, demo.com. Okay. So you have your name of the columns, then you have your domain name. So just to confirm if this format will work, you can say sample data generate, and then it will be. So as you can see, since we have not run the masking job, it is taking the real first name and last name and, providing like in that way, right? So after the masking job, the first name and last name will be changed to what it will be, at that point of time. So here, after doing it, I just realized that I have not added like add character. So, I will be having the option to edit here as well. I'll just say update. I will check it again, and then, that has been added. I'll say add now. So all your sensitive columns with your defined masking rules are here. I will say next. So on this page, you will be getting some of the advanced, masking options that you can explore more, once you follow the LiveLab. But I think some of the main options are, dropping the temporary tables. So during masking, if there are any temporary tables where the temporary objects are getting created, so you can drop that. You can also update the, stats and choose the option here. So these three will be, by default, it will be selected. And then you can see the pre-mask and the post-mask script option. For a very simple example, I can just say, if I just want to see the pre and post mask data, so I can, say select all from that schema and that table. Or, you can also, like we have seen customers also using it for avoiding any space, issue. where you can create the temporary table for store, the objects, and then drop that table as part of your, post your masking job. So you can use the script options as well, but in this case, I will just go ahead and you will have a review page, and you can just go ahead and create your masking definition, right? So far your masking definition has been created. And if you're confused, like what's the next step, then again, you can refer to your visual workflow. So we have created the masking definition. We have added our columns with the masking rule. Now we have to generate the masking script, your XML script, and then we will be running the job. So here I will go to manage masking script and then generate masking script. And in this case, since I want to do it in database, this is my dev instance. I will be choosing my target database again here, and I will say generate. So it's just gonna take a few more seconds to generate the script. Still generating. Okay. Meanwhile, let's okay. So when you're using the LiveLab, you will also be getting the access to the SQL developer, right? So you can actually run the table and compare your data, right? Between your production instance and dev instance, you can compare how your data is looking pre and post masking step, right? So I'll just write the SQL statement here, select all from, so this is our schema. And this is our table in employees, right? So this is what I want. And first I want to see it for prod because this should not be modified even after running the masking job. So you can see this table has first name, last name, all sensitive data for the columns. So let's go back to our console and see if this job is completed. So it says script generated, right? So if you want, you can also view or download your PL SQL script, right? So on the UI itself, you'll be able to review it if you provide the your name credential. But in our case, we will go ahead and we will run the job. We are doing in database masking here. Again, that means it will be permanently replacing my sensitive data with realistic values, right? So I will be providing the host name credential. In this case, like along with the name credential, you have to provide the host name so that when you have some of the masking, operations that will be performed during the masking job, like dropping the table in many mode, right? So for that, it would need the access, to the operating server of your host. Right. So in this case, I have created my hosting credential. I'll be choosing that. And then I would confirm that this database is not a production database, right? So here, so the kind of masking formats that we have used is irreversible. That means you won't be able to retrieve your sensitive data back. And that is the entire use case, right? But in the cases where even on non-production database, if you want to retrieve it back for various reasons, you can choose, those specific masking formats that has the characteristic, for example, encrypt. But in this case, we will be fine, and I will be just providing my location, and then go ahead and submit the job. Okay, so So it's going to take some time. Meanwhile, as we were looking at our schema, so this is prod. And let me just open one more worksheet for my dev instance. I'll just say select all from employee search dev instance this time, then employees. Right. This is my dev table. Um, Looks like the job is completed or it is running. So your masking job has been completed. That took, I think, less than 10 seconds. So, okay, so let's compare our data, right? So on our production table, you can see the real, sensitive data, right? City, state, country. Um, let's um, let's also order it by user ID. Let's say something like this. Okay, so let's take the first example. We have Ashley, the right email ID, the sensitive email ID. You have city, Boston, state, and country, right? So let's look at this data for the same employee, founder by user ID. Let's say this. So as you can notice, for this user ID 25, you have a random first name that we assigned. You have a substring of the last name, and then it is combining your first name and the last name with the domain name. And now your city, state, and country, even though it is realistic, right? For your third party, this data will be looking fine. But in reality, it's not the sensitive PI data for this particular user ID, right? So so this is, just two common examples, I would say, for our current DMS customers who want to maintain the relationship between the columns that they are masking and, how they're choosing such and such formats to achieve it. So let me go back to my slide. Again, to re-emphasize, this is our updated live lab for DMS on 24 AI. You will be seeing all the, whatever changes you have seen just now. You can find it there. Um, we have reduced the number of labs, the number of steps. So it will be quicker for you to, go through the entire lab in, lesser amount of time. This lab, it is focused on a data sharing use case. So the first lab, as I have mentioned, will be about setting up the environment, but the second lab will be, fully DMS, but focused on this problem statement related to data sharing, and then, walking you through all the steps of where DMS can be, useful in this particular challenge. So these are the product resources. So we have updated pretty much all the resources. You can see the changes for the N24 AI. You can start with the DNS guide. You have documentation on CLI, on licensing. Even, if you want to learn more about enterprise manager concepts, we have a separate documentation for that as well. You can find the web page, the DMS homepage. Then we have the live lab link there as well. You can find, the FAQ section or the data sheet if you want to access. And then we have our previous past on sessions, delivered by the previous PM. So you can find that if you're interested.
Want to learn more, right? So we've got a couple resources. Kajal may have touched on some of these. Again, we have livelabs.oracle.com. We've got tons of labs on there. Again, I think 30 to 40 live labs we have on there that are, specifically security related. So we've got a lot of great resources on there. And like I said, a lot of those you can deploy as green buttons. So completely on Oracle's dime, we'll build the environment for you, give you the scripts, give you the lab, give you all the technology to play around with. It's a great resource for demos as well. We also, like I said, we have those Ask Toms. Those are going to be every month. right? We held those sessions. Usually it's Rich Evans holding those, who's the product manager for Database Vault and data redaction. He has been busy this week, so I'm leading it instead, but usually it is him. So you can reach out to him for any questions. I supplied the email and all the relevant links in the chat. And again, check out our ebook, right? If you want that blend of a high level view as well as, giving some really good technical knowledge and details as well regarding, our different security products, the attack vectors that they approach defending against, and how they play alongside one another. It's a great resource as well to take advantage of. And yeah, like I said, this is kind of our way to get it to interact with us. So again, please feel free to interact with us. Feel free to send us emails, contact us. Again, all those links and all these examples that were shown today, those are going to be in the repo, in the GitHub repo. You can also find historical examples from all of our other Ask Toms. Again, a lot of resources in there. And then, yeah, we hope to see you next month for the Database Security Office Hours. This recording will be available in the next week or so on the asktom.oracle.com website, so y'all can view it in your own leisure whenever y'all want to. And yeah, we'll leave this Zoom open for a couple more minutes if there are any other questions, because I think we actually finished a little early today. So we'll leave this room a couple minutes open for any questions. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. And we'll see y'all next month for Database Security Office Hours. Thank you.